All right, today we're diving into a really critical part of any democracy, something that happens long after the news cameras have moved on. We're looking at post-election justice in Meghalaya, what's promised versus what actually happens.
You know, we put so much energy into campaigns, into voting day itself. But what if I told you the real fight for a fair election, the one that really tests our democracy, often kicks off right after the last vote is cast?
Because think about it, a healthy democracy isn't just about having the right to vote. It's also about having a real working system to fix things if and when the rules get broken. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack here.
Okay, so first let's look at the ideal scenario. On paper, how is the system actually supposed to protect an election's outcome? What's the promise? Well, there are these things called election safeguards. Basically, they're legal tools, court cases, formal complaints, that act as a safety net. They're designed to be the final line of defense against things like bribery or corruption. It sounds pretty solid, right? But the question is, does it work in the real world?
So the main tool anyone has to challenge an election result is called an election petition. But as we're about to see, calling it a rocky path might be a bit of an understatement. An election petition is, the official route. You gather your evidence of serious wrongdoing, you take it to court, and you ask a judge to invalidate the result. Sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? A direct path to getting justice.
Well, here's the reality check. The source material uses these exact words to describe the process. And wow, that paints a completely different picture. It's not a clear path. It's a grueling, uphill battle that seems rigged from the start. And this is just so important. The barriers to entry are so massive that a lot of legitimate challenges just never happen. People are terrified of political payback, or they simply can't scrape together the mountain of cash needed for a serious legal fight. So many cases die before they even begin. So why does the system break down so often? The source zeroes in on three huge, absolutely crushing hurdles. And these aren't just minor problems. They're so bad that they almost encourage people to cheat because they know they'll probably get away with it. And here they are. 1, the insane cost. 2, the snail's pace of the legal system. And 3, a shocking lack of support from the very institutions that should be helping. Let's take them one by one. First up, the money. And we are not talking about a few court filing fees here. We're talking about the kind of money you need to hire senior lawyers, to fund the collection of documents, to pay for witnesses to travel and testify. It's a financial marathon, and frankly, only the rich can finish the race. Which leads to this really tough question, right? If justice comes with such a high price tag, who is it really for? Is it for the average voter? Or has it just become another playground for the wealthy and the powerful? Okay, now for that second hurdle, the glacial pace. Just look at this timeline. An election is held in 2023. A case is filed right away. It crawls through the courts for years, and finally you get a verdict in 2027. By that point, the winner has served almost their entire 5-year term. The next election is literally right around the corner. A victory at that point is, well, it's practically useless. And that third hurdle, it's the feeling that you're completely on your own. You'd think that official bodies like the Election Commission would jump in to investigate, but that's not what happens. More often than not, the person who made the complaint is left to do all the detective work by themselves. So what's missing? Well, a lot. Imagine if the Election Commission just automatically investigated any race that had suspicious results, or if the police actually helped complainants gather evidence. That kind of proactive, supportive system just isn't there. So when you add all these hurdles together, what do you get? It really comes down to that old saying, justice delayed is justice denied.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. The promise is accountability. If you cheat, you're out. But the reality? By the time a court finds someone guilty, they've already enjoyed years in power. The punishment is so late, it's barely a punishment at all.
And this is the real kicker. When the system is this broken, it doesn't just fail to punish bad actors, it basically sends a message that it's okay to cheat. If you know the system for accountability is, and I quote, weak, slow, and toothless, then why would you ever play by the rules?
So this brings us to the end, and the source material does something really interesting. It turns the camera around and points it right back at us, the voters.
Seriously, take a second. Try to think of one, just one, The source suggests that if you're drawing a blank, that silence is the answer. It tells you everything you need to know about how effective this system really is.
And this question just cuts right through it all. If a verdict comes so late that it can't change anything meaningful, is that justice? Or is it just the system going through the motions, ticking a box? And here's a direct challenge to all of us. Don't just listen to this explainer. The source wants you to go out and check for yourself. Dig into the news archives. Ask around. Find out how many petitions were actually filed. See how many won. Find a real case and track its journey. At the end of the day, this chart sums it all up. Who actually gets to use this system? The data suggests it's overwhelmingly wealthy candidates. For smaller candidates, and especially for regular citizens, the door to justice seems pretty much closed. And that leaves us with this one final powerful question. If the very system designed to protect our votes is this broken, isn't it time to demand something better?